Hello again, my fellow CEOs. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining me, Liz Royce with 52 CEOs. And today we're going to be talking about emotions. This is a huge topic, and I know you've heard me talk about how important it is to have those emotions when you are going through your day and feeling the gratitude, right? And we just talked about it on the last session, but in believing yourself really and in attracting all those things. But today I'm going to talk to you more about emotional intelligence and why some of the skills you can use and why it's important, why it's super important for you to practice emotional intelligence on a daily basis in your life. And so we'll start with the why. One, believe it or not, you're a better leader, right? It really has a lot to do with leadership. It's leading yourself, and therefore you can lead others. And you might think to yourself, well, I don't really lead others. You lead others even when you don't notice, because we're all cultivating each other simultaneously, which is what originally I had CEO stand for. Because we all are, believe it or not, influencing each other in all the different things that we do, whether it's with our vibes, or our actions, or our words, or our thoughts. It's all of that. And so communication, it's so important that you keep your emotions in check, because you become a better communicator. I've often said your emotions hijack your brain. And I forgot to set my timer. I don't want to go over time, because this is one I could probably talk to you about for about an hour. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes to try to keep it to this. So your communication, super important to have emotional intelligence in order to have better communication. The next one, I made notes so I wouldn't forget and try to stay on topic, is self-understanding, right? When you are paying attention and aware of your emotions and what's causing them, you have a better understanding of yourself, which also helps you understand others better. The next one is self-control. You can control yourself better because your emotions are not hijacking your brain. That's where I was going with that. Excuse me, is that oftentimes our emotions, I swear, they almost like just grab hold of your brain and you just can't think straight. Have you ever had that happen where you're just so emotional? You just have to walk away and say, I can't even think right now. I'm so angry. I'm so upset. I'm so distraught, whatever it is. And then stress management. Who has not had stress because of the emotions? They're overly emotional. You're overly emotional. And so you feel that anxiety, the stress building up in your body. It's so unhealthy, right? And so if you have better emotional intelligence, then your stress will be managed better. Who doesn't want to do that? And so I want to talk to you today about a few of the different things. And I did have pulled up, and let's see if I can find it, the definition of emotional intelligence. And so let me just go back. And it is the ability to perceive, evaluate, express, and control your emotions. Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? I know, it's pretty crazy. I thought the same thing. And so some of the signs of emotional intelligence, and the key kind of examples are your ability to identify and kind of be able to describe what people are feeling. So when you see somebody who's upset, you can identify it and really describe it, give it a name. They feel sad, they feel anxious, they feel surprised, whatever it is. And the next one is having an awareness of your own strengths and your own limitations. I kind of know, we all do, right? Our boundaries. And another sign is self-confidence and self-acceptance. Really, really important. Love yourself, right? Have that confidence. It goes back to the believe. Remember that whole topic, believe in yourself. Another sign that you have some emotional intelligence is your ability to forgive yourself for making mistakes, for failing. We all fail. So you can forgive yourself. That means you have a very high emotional intelligence. To embrace change and accept change. You have a kind of like Curious George. You have a strong sense of curiosity, especially when it comes to other people. And if they have a different point of view, you don't judge. You kind of say, well, why do you feel that way? You just have a natural sense of curiosity. You show sensitivity to others. You definitely can see where they're coming from. Empathy, right? That's a big one. You accept responsibility. If you have a very high emotional intelligence, you're not afraid to say, that was me, I screwed up. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. How can I make this right? People who don't have high intelligence, emotional intelligence, go the other way. Oh, it's their fault. They did it. Oh, I don't know who did that. They don't want to take responsibility. And the last one that I was thinking of was the ability to manage your emotions in difficult situations. We all get placed in these situations where sometimes we react the way we don't want to. It happens, right? And I'm going to talk to you about ways in terms of what we can do to give us a higher sense of emotional intelligence. So we'll get right into that. So number one, I want to tell you that it's a choice. You get to choose how you feel. So if you are saying, oh, he made me feel this way, you're giving your responsibility of taking your emotions onto someone else. So I really want you to pay attention to that. If you say they broke me by their words, you're giving that power away to them. So really be aware of the words that are coming out of your mouth in terms of your emotions. And remember that it is your choice on how you feel. And so the first one is becoming self-aware of your emotions and identifying them. So if you are mad or sad or upset, whatever word you want to use, be aware of it. Just be aware and think, gee, why do I feel this way? And some of the helpful ways to become self-aware are to journal, meditate and pray, pay attention and reflect. Say, why do I feel this way? Literally name it. But you can always journal. I found a really, really super helpful way for me to journal was to write down the situation when I was really upset. Instead of reacting, instead of sending an email or calling and saying, hey, that really made me mad. You know what, I just feel this way right now, and I want to tell you, I would step back and write it all out. What was really hurting me about the situation, and to reflect on it later. And that's when I realized that my emotions were often hijacking my brain. And so I needed to become self-aware. I still struggle with this on a daily basis. I'll be honest, I am definitely working through my emotional intelligence and trying to raise it, because I am excuse me, a very emotional person. And so this has been a huge strategy for me that I have worked on continuously and still do. And so the next one, and this is where I've had to put in the most work, is to self-regulate. And so I had to be mindful. And I did this when I was a court reporter I saw a situation that would cause me to be upset, and I would have to self-regulate. And I would remind myself that, okay, this is a choice. I have to remember that my emotions are my choice, right? I can only control them. No one else can do that. So I sometimes have to do a little bit of, I think that it's called cognitive reframing, basically thinking about something else and changing it and saying, okay, this was their situation. They're crying right now. They were hurt. And I think I'm very much an empath. And so I would want to take on their feelings, but I would have to kind of draw a line and think to myself, no, those feelings belong to them. My feelings belong to me. So how am I going to choose how I feel right in this moment? And just be mindful of it. And I would practice some kind of breathing. And like I said, that cognitive reframing, or thinking about something else, or the way I think about it differently, and kind of paving a new path in my brain about, okay, I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to fall into their emotions, because I can separate myself from those. And a lot of people have a low emotional intelligence when it comes to social skills. They become very awkward. They say they feel uncomfortable. They get anxiety. And so I wanted to cover this topic really quickly and give you some tips on some social skills for emotional intelligence. And those are to show interest when somebody is talking to you. pay attention. Don't go on. I don't even know where my phone is, but don't go on your phone. Don't look at your watch or at the ceiling, whatever it is, right? Eye contact. Keep an open mind, ask open-ended questions, listen to understand rather than respond. And I think there was another one. Let me find. Oh, body language. Pay attention to their and your body language. Are you a close talker? Are they a close talker? Pay attention to where, if their feet, there's so much that goes into body language. And I'm going to cover that more in posture. But your body language, when you are interacting with someone, is a huge indicator of their emotions, right? And so the last one that I want to talk to you about, that was social skills, is empathy skills. Really empathizing with someone, right? Best way to do that is to share your vulnerability. Show that you are willing to open up your heart to them, because that makes people feel like you're not judging them. That oh wow, you know what? They're sincere. They're really going to share something with me. Don't overshare, but just make sure you're showing maybe a little bit of vulnerability in order to open up that relationship a little bit more. Talking to new people also raises your emotional intelligence, especially when it comes to the empathy skill, because you are learning about someone who is not like you. And so that's the other key thing, not just meeting anyone, not someone who necessarily matches your vibe, but maybe somebody who's had some different experiences in their life and live in a different part of the world, etc. And flipping the scenario and putting yourself in their shoes. Great, great empathy skill, right? And I've often tried to do this when I was listening to both sides of a case. I would find myself thinking, oh, I wonder what it would be like to be on this side, the plaintiff side, where they feel they have been wronged and vindicated, blah, blah, blah. So they have their story. And then the defendant, when we'd go to that side, they would say, hey, you know what? That's not at all what happened, or I didn't mean that, or whatever it is. Like, they're saying this totally different. And I would try to step into their shoes and see where they were coming from. And it was a great tool, a skill that I learned to do just for fun while I was sitting there working and taking down all the testimony. But it really allowed me the opportunity to also be more empathetic with people and my children and my family, my husband, everyone, right? We all struggle with different things. And it really gave me an awareness of trying to put myself in someone else's shoes was really helpful, because it gives you a different perspective. It gives you the ability to look at things through their experience, through their lenses. And I will talk about this more in detail in another session. I don't want to keep this too long, and I think my time is coming up, but I wanted to finish by saying, please, don't forget, your emotions are super important, and invoke feelings. This is what I wrote down, as if you've already attracted whatever it is you're trying to attract. And that goes back to the last session. But I want you to be tying all these things together, right? So don't forget the things that we've already talked about. Go back and watch them if you need to, and go back to the videos and really tie in the law of attraction, right? I have these on cards, and I want you to go back and really put them all together, and start with the gratitude when you wake up in the morning, right? And really focus on, okay, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. What am I thankful for? And tie these things all together into your prayer, your meditation, believing in yourself, what you're attracting, and now your emotions. So you have 5 extremely powerful strategies and tools. And if you walked away today not taking any more of my strategies, I think your life would be changed. And so I really want to encourage you today to go ahead and apply those things and see how your life is different, see how you feel, and really try to implement them throughout the day as often as possible. So I hope you found that helpful. I really enjoy this topic, and I love talking about emotions. I love you, and I hope you are successful today in your day in applying these strategies. They will keep making you stronger and having you become the greatest person that you can be. And greatness is in each one of us. And I hope you find it in yourself. Thanks for watching. Liz Royce with 52 CEOs.